Hi, this is Doug Jefferson, and this is my Module 3, my special education interviews. So starting off, what I did was the administrators' responses are going to be in black. My special ed instructors' responses are going to be in red, and the paras instructors are going to be in green. And that kind of highlights what each one said. So starting off, the child find procedures, both the administrator and special education instructor said the same thing. In our district, USD 402 Augusta, count your kid in is what we use. It's a pre-screening process. It interviews parents as well to see if they've noticed anything. And what we do is we advertise this all summer long. You can bring your kids in, and they can be screened to see if there's anything wrong with them or not. And what was interesting was the para. Basically, they didn't know about this, and the para that I interviewed had been there a long time. She's been there almost 20 years, just like myself. And so a lot of these responses are pretty unique in that our administrator is a first year administrator. Our special ed instructor has been there probably, he's been there over 20 years. I'm going to say about 25 years. And our para has been there right around 20 years, just like myself. So everyone there knows what they're doing, just have different experiences. So the second question, what they found to be the most challenging part of the role and why. The administrator, his response was communication, just because there's so many people involved, so much time. By the time they take the test, you receive the test scores, talking to parents, talking to students. So that's what he was talking about with the communication. The special education instructor, he saw it a little bit differently with the buy-in from the parents because this is new to them, obviously. So they're going to have buy-in that their student is or does need special education classes, has to have an IEP. And then down to the para, her big thing was that paras don't have planning periods, so the prep time for her is very short. Basically, she jumps from one student, one classroom to the next student in the next classroom. And so modifications have to be made quickly. She doesn't get to plan ahead very much and can be stressful. What's the most rewarding part of the job when dealing with students, parents, teachers? Why? Basically, everyone said seeing growth, whether it's the growth in the students, seeing them get through the educational process, starting out as a freshman when they don't have a whole lot of experience or know-how, until they're a senior and they can speak for themselves and basically sign off on what they want or don't want. And then our para's response was being acknowledged as worthy, and mainly for confidence purposes. Self-esteem goes a long ways, especially with some of these students who may not have any because they haven't been successful. So that helps them out. What advice do they have on supervision of special education staff, including paras, speech pathologists, etc.? The main thing is with our administrator, he said, make sure you hire good people because everyone has to communicate in order for things to run smoothly. Our special education instructor, he's on the other end of it. And he said basically just keeping in touch, which goes along with the communication. So that works out really well. And this is another reason why our special education department works out really well in our school, and our kids are really taken care of, and for the most part are in regular ed classrooms. And then our paras comment was making sure the supervisor understands the expectations of the interlocal. Our interlocal is based out of El Dorado. All the teachers are in Augusta, so yes, they're part of our school, but realistically, no, they're not, because they're not paid by USD 402. They're paid by the interlocals. So we have to be able to work hand in hand and just making sure everybody knows what's going on. And again, with the administrator's comment, the communication is big. How do they work effectively with parents of special needs children? Our administrator basically said once the IEPs are over with, they don't have a lot of contact or really know what's going on, which is completely different than the special education instructor's view. He said it's always interesting because at high school level you have two types of parents. Basically, you either have parents who are really, really involved and want to hold their child's hand and do everything for them, or you have the parents that say, well, they're old enough, they can make their own decisions, this is up to them, and basically they stay out of it. And our para said that confidentiality, whether that's talking to parents, getting things done, talking to the student, only letting people know who need to know on that basis, that's what she was talking about there. How do they work with regular ed teachers with students with special needs? Our administrator, the way he saw it was make sure everyone's on the same page. Don't let the special ed students use the IEP as a free pass to do schoolwork. Don't have the paras do work for them. And that's really hard for some paras. You know, you want to help kids out, but you can't be giving them answers. You know, and over the years we've had some that we've had to let go at our school because they couldn't find that balance there. And you need to know the requirements, and it's hard to defend a teacher when they don't follow the IEP. So if a parent brings up a teacher and a student is struggling and that teacher is not following the IEP, they really don't have much to stand on if they're not going by the IEP and that process, and they've been to the meetings and all that stuff. That's the reason the IEP is in place, is for that student and to help get them through and help teach them. Our special education instructor, team teaching with regular teachers, all of ours in Augusta at the high school do a great job. You know, a lot of the kids, you know, they probably don't really know why there's two people in there. You have your teacher, and we always have a para or a special education instructor, and they really don't know the difference between them. And a lot of classrooms, especially in the freshman classrooms, the ones who haven't been there a while, because we all know the content, we all get along with each other, we all know what's expected of one another and how to do our jobs, and so it works out really well in our school. And then the para, what she said was make the general ed teachers aware of modifications. You know, if something's changed, or if, you know, we have 4 or 5 students in our class, you know, you need to know which students need what, and our pairs do a great job of reminding us and letting us know who needs what in our classes. What advice did I have for first year administrators? Our administrator said to work closely with the special ed department, gain an understanding of what's going on, which I would completely agree with. You know, this class we've only done, this is our 3rd assignment in here, and I've learned so much already because I really didn't know a whole lot going into special education. I mean, I went to my IEPs and stuff, but other than that, that was about it. So this has been very eye-opening, and I can't wait to see what the rest of the class entails and what I'll get out of this, and I know it'll be a lot. Back to the interview. Treat your special education staff just like you would your general education staff, which we do a great job of at the high school. Staying in contact, and the para said they're here for all the students, but their number one priority is their special education students. That's why they're in there. That's who they're in there for. Yes, they will help out anyone else, but you know, the special ed students come first. And then how do they describe the role of special ed teacher and the building principal? Again, it's going back to communication, keeping the administration up to date, working as a team, and then addressing issues when there's a concern. Just making sure everybody's on the same page, everyone's involved, from the administrator to the special education teacher to the para to the parents to the students to the teacher. So everyone needs to be involved. Everyone has a hand in this, and we're all there for one reason, and that's for the student. And the last question, what characteristics do they seek in aspiring administrators with regards for special education? Our administrator said he's not real sure. There's lots of things that he looks at, but there's really no specifics other than what he's talked about in here with the communication and so forth. And the special ed instructor basically said, be open and honest, don't act like you know everything, and ask questions, because again, just the week or two we've been in this class and done our assignments, there's no way anyone can know all the special education rules, regulations, laws. So you have to have other people who are experts in different facets of this area. And if you need help or if you don't know, ask somebody. Surely someone knows. And if not, you can always look it up. But don't act like you know it when you really don't. So don't put up a facade or anything. And then the para, have an open mind, attend IEPs. That's probably the easiest thing to do, is just attend IEPs, know the parents, know the students, know what's going on, be kind, and follow the regulations. You have to follow the regulations in order for the students to be successful, for the parents to know what's going on, and for everyone to be on the same page. The last one here, reflection. After completing this assignment, again, like I said a couple times throughout this video, I'm learning so much from these classes. Again, when you're starting from scratch, it's easy to learn, so I'm looking forward to the rest. What I'm finding out is that I don't have to know everything about special ed. As long as I hire good people and communicate, that'll take care of a lot of things. Moving on to the evaluation, the compare and contrast. It's pretty obvious in the interviews that the paras are there for one reason only. They're there to help the students. They know what the students need. They know what their IEPs say, and they are there for the students. The rules and regulations, yes, they do mean something to them, but they're not worried about the rules and regulations. They're worried about the student itself. The administrators and the special education instructor, they're the ones who know the rules and regulations. They're the ones who get everyone on the same page and make sure that the students are taken care of. Whereas, the paras there more for the student and for the caring and the supervision and all that. They're there to help out. And the last one there, the projections. Future role as administrator and your responsibilities regarding special education administration, leadership, and supervision. Again, kind of like I said in the reflection, you don't have to know everything. Obviously, I need to know a lot more, but I think some of that will come through this class. A lot of it's going to come through experience once you get that first administrative job, and you just have to ask a lot of questions. You have to communicate. You have to know who to go to in your building to get answers, or where to look to find answers. And again, don't try to fake it. Like our para said earlier, don't try to fake it. Ask, make sure everyone's on the same page. So really learned a lot from this assignment. Pretty interesting on how different people saw things in different ways. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the class. Thank you very much.